We are back with another episode from Via Non Capta, House of Knightley. We're sticking with our summer RPG nights. And so this is season 2, episode 5, and the episode is entitled The Bloodwine Trail.
Mm.
So you guys previously here, Captain Knightley and Commander Arhat, boarded the IKS Qel'Thoq. This is Commander Arhat's first time boarding it and staying aboard, as previously Captain Knightley and Lieutenant Commander Sova had just a few weeks ago. So Gowry, the captain of the IKS Qel'Thoq, is setting a direction towards the Romulan Neutral Zone based off of information that he received that Gom'rok, the main antagonist that he is focused on, who is bent on eliminating any Klingons who don't meet his vision of what Klingons should be. That's mainly been a word of mouth thing from Gowry, and for a good stretch of time, you didn't really see that. But when you were on the facility last episode, you guys captured Gomrok's second in command, Kavor. And Kavor, when Arhat was confronted by him, was a very different looking Klingon altogether. You've seen other Klingons on Gowry's ship, and when you previously interacted with Captain Tagore, you saw that Captain Tagore also you had Klingons who didn't have cranial ridges. They looked very human in appearance. But Kavor, who you captured, doesn't look like either one. He doesn't look like a traditional Klingon or a human-like augmented Klingon. He is darker in appearance. He has a purpley kind of black skin, mottled skin. His cranial ridges are very pronounced. He has no hair. He's bald. He has a more angular kind of face, and he has no facial hair. And his uniform is incredibly ornate. So these type of Klingons that you're encountering do seem to be matching up with what Gowry stated, which was they have no interest in any Klingon living that doesn't look like them. So you find yourself on the IKS Qel'Thoq. It has only been a few minutes, probably less than an hour. And again, Gowry is headed towards the Romulan neutral zone generally. He's not going to go into the neutral zone, he's just heading that direction to try to find Gom'rok, where he has been slated. It has been told by the prisoners from on the facility that Gom'rok is to destroy another Federation colony in that direction, out that way. So we throw it back to you guys. What would you guys like to do? Also, I forgot to mention that the IKS Octal, which is Captain Tagore's ship, is currently transporting the prisoners to another location, to a safe location.
Nice.
What would be running through my mind is what kind of places the Federation has in this general direction.
Okay, fair enough.
And most likely, I wouldn't be saying anything to the Klingons, but I would kind of be either looking for a map in the ship or mentally trying to take note of what locations could we be going to that
Yeah,
could be
so
the target.
yeah, totally understand. By referencing the Klingon star maps, you can see that there are some planets in between here and there. But the unfortunate thing is you have very little information on anything Federation wise. They haven't tracked a lot
Right.
Federation wise.
And I don't have all the information stored in my brain.
No, no. There are no space stations, star bases,
Yeah.
or space stations labeled in this area. Starbase 2, which is now behind you, is the closest thing.
Yeah.
I will tip the hat for you guys just because you guys mentioned it last game. You mentioned wanting to talk to Kavor. Is that something
Right.
you still want to do, or do you want to advance time?
God, every time we question somebody in this room, it goes horribly wrong.
That's
I'm
so
like
true.
terrified. I'm like terrified to do that now. I feel like at this point, like Knightley trusts Gowry. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he's proven that he's not telling lies. It's not like,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want Gowry's men to get people to like get information out of him, or you just leave him alone?
Um, I feel like I feel like story-wise, Knightley would leave that up to Gowry's discretion.
Okay, all
This is
right.
kind of his mission, really. And it's
Fair
like
enough.
his people and
If his men decided to interrogate, I would want to at least check out the interrogation.
So Gowry is up on the bridge. They're flying towards his ship is flying towards the neutral zone, and he turns to you, Captain, and he says, "So we have Kavor in the brig. It seems that you would not wish to talk to him yourself."
feels like it's something that you might want to take care of.
Hmm.
You have more skin in the game, as one would say, than I do.
Hmm. I'm not familiar with this, but if there was a game of skin, I believe I would have more of it. Yes. So Gowry turns to a couple other officers on the bridge, and he says something in Klingon to them, and they immediately depart from the bridge.
Are they going to interrogate?
Yes, Commander, those officers are going to be sent to the brig to interrogate Kavor.
Mind if I join them?
If your captain has no problem with it, I have no problem with it.
Not at all.
Okay. And I would follow them to the brig.
So you're, you know, 4 or 5 steps behind these guys,
Mhm.
and you follow them down into the turbo lift, and they get off onto the main floor where the brig is, and they begin walking down. And just before they get in, there is like this big wall, kind of like locker thing, and they open it, and in it is a variety of different types of blades and contraptions and things that you put together very quickly that these are tools to make individuals talk.
Yep.
So you see one of the Klingons grab like a looks like a kind of like a mallet sledgehammer, and you see another one have like a serrated blade. And they go to the door and they open the door and they walk into the brig.
I would look over, the locker. Then I wouldn't grab anything, but I would just walk in
Mental
behind
note.
them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So in there is Kavor. He is laying down on this slab, and he is kind of like rubbing the top of his head. So he is awake. The Klingons immediately say something in they immediately speak to him in Klingon, which makes him rise to attention and get right up onto his feet. And they proceed to go back and forth in Klingon for quite a bit of time. You can see that Kavor, his ankles are like shackled together. Next thing you know, as you see one of the other Klingons walk over to the wall, and he drops like this static force field. And obviously, immediately, Kavor starts to advance upon one of the Klingons, and he attacks him in like the knee. He hits him in the knee with like the mallet kind of sledgehammer thing. And
Lovely.
they quickly they quickly grab him and place his arms in shackles behind his
Joke's on
body.
you, I love this.
So the one Klingon turns to you, Arhat, and he says, "Have you ever tortured someone, Andorian?"
No, I've never tortured anyone.
So you have no interest in partaking in the activities.
The problem is, if I partake in activities, I usually go for the kill. And we
Hmm?
need information from him.
No, we do not want to give him that satisfaction. Our goal here is to maim and return him to duty. Ha ha ha! A physically disabled Klingon is useless.
A lot of truth in that. I would ask, what can you tell me about Gom'rok, and what can you tell me about where he is going?
That's a great question. So, what do you want to do? Because this is, you are persuading him to tell you something. So, do you want to use intimidation? Do you want to negotiate with him? Or do you want to deceive him? You don't have any evidence to give him, so we can't go that route. But the rest of it you can do.
I think I would ask the question, and I'd try and persuade him to answer of if Gom'rok is actually heading toward the Romulan Neutral Zone.
Okay, so well, you know what? That is kind of an evidence thing because you have evidence that he's heading that way. So let's see. By presenting him that piece of evidence that Gom'rok is headed to a Federation colony near the Romulan Neutral Zone, I will allow you to roll Control Command.
I have persuasion.
Perfect. So if you roll within your command number, you'll get two successes for each
So
die.
if I roll 4 or under
Correct.
with 2 dice,
Yep.
I'm going to give it a try, see what I get.
Okay.
I have 2 successes. I did not roll 4 or under.
I'm not supposed to give you a flat difficulty. I'm supposed to tell you what it is because he's supposed to the resisting character rolls. That's my mistake. So you have two successes. Let me roll for this guy. Okay, so he only had one success. You had two successes, but because of the evidence that brought it down to zero. So you got two momentum from that. You generated two momentum for that. So keep one of you guys can keep track of that.
I got my dice going.
So you scored two. So you do that, and he just kind of like grimaces, but he doesn't give you anything. Seems like he's just kind of taking it,
Not going to talk.
not gonna talk.
Yeah.
So for you to know this, you can keep you can keep pressing him basically, because he can basically if he doesn't give in, he just suffers stress.
Right.
So that's how it's basically like combat. Basically until you get information, he won't. It's like fighting him. You're like fighting him, but with words. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Do you want to go again?
I'll try it one more time just because he did react to my question where he wasn't stoic.
He did react to your question. It's
He,
true.
he did have a reaction.
So now you have two banked momentum, and you need one success.
Yep. I'm thinking about just using one to get me an extra dice,
Okay.
and we'll see what I can do. I got one success out of
And
3
you get
dice.
nice. So you got two successes because the one of the other Klingons succeeded. So you get one momentum back. You can increase the severity at which his stress increases by one by spending two momentum. He's currently at five.
No, I'm not gonna use one to increase his stress.
Okay. And so you press again, and he kind of just like he just keep looks at the floor and he says something under his breath, kind of grumbles something under his breath, and one of the Klingons next to you with the mallet, he hits him like in the arm, like on the upper arm, and he says, "He said something unpleasant about your mother, Commander."
I see. This is how this is going to go. Where's your honor?
Mm.
Insults from a warrior? Is that the best you can do?
Let's just roll. Let's just roll and see what happens. I'll tell you. Okay. Oof. So he has 3 successes.
You got 3 successes?
He just got, so it's difficulty 3, same thing, command, control.
I'm going to
He
buy
just got,
one dice.
okay.
So I have 3 dice.
Nice. So you have 1 success from the other Klingon.
Oh.
Oh, oh no.
Oh no. How badly do you want to know?
I want to know. I do want to know.
1, 1, 15.
Wow. And 15
Five
is
successes.
five
Because the
successes.
number I
Wow.
need is 15.
Oh, wow.
So with that, he had 5 left. That's 6. That completely pushes his stress. That is also 3 momentum for you.
Nice work.
Thank you.
And Kavor says, "I cannot believe you are allowing an Andorian to speak to me like this. If you're going to have a disgusting animal like this in here, I will tell you one thing so that you leave me alone. You clearly know where Gom'rok is headed. All I will tell you is that there is a nebula before you reach the location of Gom'rok. I will say nothing more when this Andorian present."
I would just turn and say, "You broke a lot easier than I thought. He's all yours." And I walk out of the room.
That's an excellent insult.
And you, as you are turning and walking out, and the brig door is opening and then closing, all you hear the other Klingons laughing, like heartily laughing. So you return to the bridge, and Gowry says, "Ah, Commander, weak stomach for torture?"
No, he broke a lot easier than I was expecting.
Oh, Kavor has broken.
He told me there was a nebula right before we get to Gom'rok.
He could not handle your icy ways, Commander.
No, he could not.
Excellent. Helm! Locate the nearest nebula and set a course. And you see the helm officer poking in some things. And he says, "Captain, the nearest nebula is 12 days at warp 7.
Good Lord. It's quite the journey. Guess we better buckle in our hat.
This is true, Captain.
You agree we should head to the nebula, Captain and Commander?"
I agree.
"Excellent. We will begin our journey." Okay. So you begin your journey to this nebula that is on sensors. So in the stretch, 6 days after being on the IKS Qel'Thoq, and you, Commander, are enjoying all of the wonderful pleasantries of the Klingon ship.
Oh,
Obviously,
yes.
Captain Knightley is able to, give you some heads up here and there, but for the most part, there's not a lot she can do to really.
Mm-hmm.
But there is one thing you've taken note of. She has been seen eating a little bit more Klingon food than you would
Mm.
imagine her eating. She may be staying away more, some more of the more unpleasant looking things, but she is eating more of their food.
Just so you know, I brought a little bit of red bat just to see some of the Klingons' reaction to that.
So
Oh.
we'll just advance it by a little bit. Like the day after this event, will be in the galley, and there are a few Klingons sitting around, and the captain's in there, and you come up to the table with your red bat.
I have a couple small like thermoses with contain servings of red bat.
You pour it into like a Klingon like bowl. You see a couple of them like gathering around and like looking at what you're pouring there. And they say, "What what is this?"
This is red bat.
Hmm. Red bat.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, I love clans.
May we try some?
You may try some.
Hmm. And so he takes like a utensil, kind of like a bladed utensil, and he pokes around it in stew soup kind of
Yeah,
thing, right?
it's a stew.
Yeah. So he pokes around and he gets a little piece and he's looking at it and he says, "Is this cooked?"
Yes. It's my
Mm.
mother's recipe.
Mm. And they all look at each other and they're all like, and you can see that they're kind of like not really thrilled that this is like cooked meat, but at the same time, they're like, they're not gonna not try it kind of a thing. You see, they're all kind of looking at each other and they're all smelling it and like looking at it. And so one of them, he kind of gives like the, like, I'll be the guy to have this. And so he goes and he bites it and he's like, hmm. He goes, "Hmm." And then he passes it to another Klingon, and then they take another bite, and then they both turn to each other and they nod. Mm, mm. They say, "Delicious." Is there more of this, Commander, or is this the only bowl?
I brought more.
Ah, ha, ha. Yes, your mother knows how to cook well, Commander. What Kavor said about her is entirely unfair.
I love the idea of Klingons being like disgusted by like cooked meat. They're like, oh my God, meat that's cooked. Ew. It's just like, yeah, no, eating raw meat is so much better. You're right. So, Will, while we're traveling, I feel like now would be a decent time for Knightley to try to kind of like get to know her dad a little bit more through Gowry. I haven't really like talked to him about it really too much.
Okay, okay. Did you want anything more there, Mike, in the galley, or no?
Not really. I would offer them one of my thermoses that I brought
Okay.
with me.
So the one who was brave to take a bite first, he takes the thermos, and they all see them like pushing him, and he's like, "No, no, no!" Like he's basically indicating like, "Hey, you wanted it so bad, you should have tried eating it." Basically, and you watch them go over to a corner,
Cowards.
and they're like, he's twisting open the thing and smelling it, and then like drinking the whole like just drinking the whole thermos, and they're all like, punching him and pushing on him and stuff like that.
Oh God, it's so funny.
Uh,
I now have a substance that I can trade with them with.
that's
There
right.
you go.
It's
If I
very
want
true.
something, hey, I have more of this. Can I get this?
That's true.
True. That's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Gonna come in handy, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you Knightley are in there watching this happen, and you are sharing a meal with just an officer at the table. He seems a little intrigued by what the other officers are eating. He he definitely wants in on that, but he realizes he didn't have like a say on what was happening.
That's so
So you decide to go up to Gowry's ready room to discuss with him things from the past.
Yeah.
So you get to the door, you chime it, and you hear
Yep.
enter.
I walk in.
Okay, yeah.
Are you busy?
Ah, Captain. No, I am not busy. I'm just reading the latest science scans looking for a nebula closer than the one mentioned by Kavor.
I see.
What
So,
troubles you, Captain? Are you something going on?
well, nothing. No, I just I think I'm ready to hear more about my father.
Hmm, your father.
Were you close?
Carmack and I were relatively close when we were children.
Hmm.
Father was not as agreeable as we would have liked. He was a hard man.
Yeah, I can't even like imagine what a Klingon would consider like a hard man.
He was the type of man that no matter what you did, he was not pleased.
Hmm. And your mother?
A sweet woman. She fed me and your father many, many treats, to the point where I became a fat little Klingon. Yes, yes. She still is alive.
Is she?
Yes.
And your father's no longer alive?
He died in combat.
I see. Do you believe him to be in Stovacor?
Yes. Yes, I do. He died honorably. I appreciate you knowing that, Captain.
So even Klingons who weren't good people still get to go if they die honorably?
I know the type of question that you ask and that it would be confusing, but yes, dying honorably is really all a Klingon truly wants.
Fair enough. Did you know much about my parents' relationship? Did
The
you
Earth
ever like,
Woman and with Carmack?
yeah, yes.
No.
You
No, I
never
didn't.
met her?
No.
And how did
I
you
only
find
know her based off of the journals of Carmack.
and how did you find those? How did you even find out about me?
When news of Captain Majak's ship not returning from battle was alerted to the fleet, I began searching for my brother, but I had no
Hmm.
idea where they had gone down.
Hmm.
Captain Majak's captain's logs, his locations were not well documented due to likely some stupid Klingon officer on his ship. So we could not find where his vessel crashed, or really what happened to his vessel. We did not know it had crashed, but that is
Hmm.
what happened. I just didn't know it. I spent
So how,
decades looking for my brother's ship.
when did you find it?
I found it months ago.
Wow, I see. And you came looking for me that quickly.
Yes.
Why?
Well, we have been dealing with this issue with Gom'rok for quite a long time, and I needed help. Not many would listen to me. Dagor is someone who sides with me, but we don't always see eye to eye. Once I learned of where my brother's ship was, I had to investigate, and once I discovered his journal and read that he had had a daughter, I knew that someone from House Dokai would listen.
Hmm.
So I sought you out. And it was only by Kalis that I found your family there on the colony. We had no idea that the colony was even on the planet. We just did preliminary scans of the ship, and it didn't find the colony. We just were looking for the ship. And when I was down there and I read about an Earth colony and Earth people, we began looking for them and we found the colony.
Wow, I haven't been to my home colony in many years.
Yes, your other mother and father were hospitable.
They were?
They were kind to me, but I believe because they thought I was going to kill them.
That tracks. My home colony is traumatized by what happened to them.
I did try very hard to not make it seem that we were invading. It was a minimal away team.
Hmm. And they sent me a message saying that somebody was looking for me. I was surprised that they were alive to tell the tale.
They raised a member of House Dokai.
Hmm.
I would not lay a blade on one of their hairs.
So here's a question for you, Gowrie.
Hmm.
Had you not had this ongoing issue with Gom'rok, would you have come to find me then?
I likely would have sent you a message asking if you wanted to meet. I don't think I would have tracked you down to find you and request your aid.
So you wanted my help. You only found me because you wanted my help, not because you cared about meeting me. Got it. Thanks for the journals. And like, I'll just get up and leave his office.
And as you're back, as you get to the door and you're just about to go out the ready room, he says, Captain, understand that I had no way of knowing you would be this agreeable to speak to a Klingon.
I'll just kind of give him like the sure, like, okay, and then just walk out.
Okay, so now we can advance, right? Everything we can advance.
Yeah.
Okay, so now 6 days after that that full interaction, you both are like getting ready for the day. Because again, you guys share a space, and let's have both of you roll 1d6.
I got a Delta, baby.
Nice.
I got a 4.
Okay. So as you, Commander, are like pulling, like kind of like pulling your uniform more tightly on you, you Knightley are looking at your Starfleet pad where you're keeping notes and keeping tracks of things, and you notice today's date, July 21st, 2174. Today marks the Drake's 1 year anniversary in space.
Wow. We have seen some things in the air, haven't we?
You have.
Wow.
Certainly have.
Interesting.
So, in another 6 days go by, and you guys arrive at a nebula that is dense with electromagnetic interference. Gowreet informs you to, once you are at the bridge, that the IKS Octal is arriving on scene as well. Dagor has dropped off the prisoners and is also joining the search for Gom'rok.
Okay.
Gowrie says, begin scanning the nebula. Scan. And the science officer on the bridge says, there's too much electromagnetic interference to gather any important information. Gowrie looks at you two and says, do you have any techniques that we don't know about to scan this nebula?
Reroute power to sensors.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Are there shields up?
Yes.
I would ask it if there's any fluctuations in the shields. That will tell whether or not the electricity is messing with it.
Okay, well let's do those three things. Okay. So they scan again. They still don't get anything. The shields don't seem to be. They're not in the nebula. They're on the edge of the nebula, so the shields don't seem to be interacting with that. And rerouting power to the sensors didn't do anything. Didn't result in anything more successful.
The scan is failing, not like nothing is, they're not finding anything. It's
Yeah,
just
the
that,
scan is just they're getting too much interference from the nebula, so they're not finding anything useful.
okay.
If we turn, if we scan like back where we just came from,
Okay.
what kind of readings do we get from behind us, or is it interfering behind us as well?
Okay. So when they scan behind, they can see totally fine. They have good readings all the way. They can have like long range readings all the way back.
Okay. They usually change the frequency and see if the frequency makes a difference.
Okay. So by changing frequencies, you're able to get deeper scans of the nebula, and you get a blip on there that there is metal that comes up as like Klingon metal, like a Klingon vessel
Interesting.
inside the nebula.
So yeah, I'd say to Gowry, like, you feel like going in?
Do you believe that this vessel that we're seeing on sensors is worth investigating?
Is it a full size ship or is it a scout ship?
We cannot tell. We can only tell that it is metal of a Klingon origin.
I mean, we're right here. I'd hate to miss something.
Fair enough. In we go.
Okay.
So they enter and they continue on the new frequency. So it's not a perfect reading, but as they continually scan as they enter, they come across a Klingon bird of prey. That's all they can see. They can't get anything more solid than it's a bird of prey. It is not Gom'rok's ship.
Okay. Let me ask Gowry then. Like, do you think that he would try and fool us that he's on a different ship other than his own, or is that not honorable
I
enough?
don't I don't believe Gom'rok would change vessels, especially on one that is not his ship that he finds honorable.
Okay.
We can always hail this ship and see if they know of where he's going.
It's your ship.
So he turns to Foxar and you two, his first officer, and he says, "What is the consensus? Should we leave the nebula and continue looking for Gom'rok, or shall we go deeper into the nebula and interact with this vessel?"
If we interact with this vessel, how likely is it for them to let Gomrok know that we are here?
Excellent point, Commander. There are some loyalists to Gom'rok. It's hard to know, though.
If it's not his ship and you don't, and you know he'll be on this ship, then let's keep going.
So Voxar, he states that it's probably worth looking at the ship. You state, Captain, that it's not worth looking at the ship. You, Commander, pose the question, where do you stand?
I'm leaning toward checking out the ship, especially if the Klingons think that we should check out the ship.
The first officer thinks so, but that's it. Gowry is he is relying on the three of you to tell him what to do.
Why do you think we should check the ship? Vakthar?
He says, Captain, I believe that there are this vessel has been in this area in general. He may have sensor scans or things of that nature that may tell us more about this area. We have just arrived here. This ship may have more pertinent information.
The Klingons known for helping each other out like that?
No,
Hmm.
So, are we going to take the information?
I say we keep going, Gowry.
if the information needs to be taken, yes, Commander. That's what the first officer says.
I don't like it.
The situation honestly feels like we're going to have to fight and take the information.
Mm.
I don't know why he's so eager to go do this. It makes me uneasy. I don't like it. I
Okay.
think I think it's a I
You
think
follow you follow your captain's gut there, Commander?
Honestly, my thought was if they're enemies, could we take his ship?
oh,
Well, we don't necessarily have the crew to separate to
No, we
support
don't.
another ship, but I would hate to I would hate to put you two on the ship and have a low minimal amount of officers. I do hear what you're saying, Commander. I just don't think we would be thinning out our ship and have two low crewed ships instead of one fully crewed ship.
Yes. The other thing that comes to mind if he's in the area and they are loyal to him, we would be fighting two ships with one ship.
Hmm, true. We do have the gore, but I know what you're saying. It sounds like, Commander, you're siding with your captain.
To a point, yes, but at the same time, engaging this ship is the only way to tell whether or not they're loyal to him. And that's where I'm torn.
I have one saying to go, one saying not to go, and one torn like me. Wonderful. Then I
well,
shall be the deciding factor,
you are the
and I
captain.
decide that we shall leave. I do not believe that this vessel inside a nebula is helpful to us in any way.
What is
So,
his first officer doing? Like, what does he look like? Does he look annoyed, irritated, fine?
no, he just looks, you know, he kind of just shrugs it off. He's not really like thrilled, but he's also not really like stewing over it.
Okay.
So you leave the nebula, and as you leave the nebula, the Gore hails the Qel'Thoq, and he says, they go back and forth about did you find anything, and he tells them that they found a vessel, but they stopped. That Gowrie didn't want to keep investigating. He felt like it had nothing to do with Gom'rok. The Gore presses that we should go into the nebula and blow up the ship.
For what reason?
He feels that any ship that's close to Gom'rok could expose their ships.
Our mission is to take down a serial killer, not kill anybody in sight.
And so Gowrie kind of looks over at you, and then he looks back at the Gore, and the Gore is like, Federation, Federation.
Ah, yes, the people you came begging to for help.
Ah, and he closes the channel. And then Gowrie says, Hmm, it seems our conversation from earlier has left you moody.
No, it's more about the fact that, you know, I'm not a murderer. I'm not gonna be a party to murdering people for no reason. It's not why I just agreed to help you. We're here to help save lives, not kill anybody that we see. Plus, I don't like him.
Well, Captain, you've answered your own question. Not all Klingons who seek to fight are murderers. You can understand my hesitation in contacting a member of Starfleet.
Well, prove me wrong then.
So he tells his helm to do another scan away from the nebula, and they see on like mid to long range sensors there is an asteroid field. And the science officer brings up information on the computer about the asteroid field, and it comes up that the asteroid field there are rumors that there is a secret supply cache stored in the asteroid field
Interesting.
based off of the traffic of this area.
That's what everyone's looking for.
So Gowrie says, I believe that that's where we should be headed.
I agree.
Follow those coordinates. intercept. So they begin their few hour journey to this location, and then you reach the asteroid field, and now they begin scanning the asteroid field. So first sweep of the asteroid field reveals nothing other than what you would expect from materials that make up asteroids here in space. Any more of
Um,
those fancy Federation thinkings?
Are you able to scan for engine signatures?
Hmm. Yes. Science officer, do it.
knew it.
So they scan again, and there are engine signatures, but there's nothing conclusive about anything going to into the asteroid field. Like nothing clear into the asteroid field.
Do we know what kind of secret cache it is? Like what's in it?
From what traffic comms have said, it is a supply cache for vessels, but we don't know for what
I
or
see.
what it is.
Well, what would be valuable for a supply?
Weapons. Weapons.
Weapons. Ah, yes. How could I forget? So, like, are we talking just regular, like, guns kind of weapons, or
It could be
more?
both weapons for ground troops, or it could be starship weapons like torpedoes.
Can you calibrate sensors to look for, like, torpedoes, things like that?
We can certainly try to locate materials that are used in torpedoes.
Okay. I don't
And
know.
so they scan again, and as the sweep is making it, it goes like bleep. And he says, there is materials here used for the making of torpedoes.
Ooh, excellent.
So they set a course for that location. And when they crest over one of the asteroids, they see on an asteroid that is slowly rotating and it is floating. It's not really speeding through the sector space here. Have him roll. Comes up on the visual a outpost. You can see a outpost is on the asteroid, and the torpedo mark is highlighted on this area. So Gowrie says, with this information, we should have a boarding team investigate the signal. I suggest you, Knightley and Arhat, and De Gore board the outpost.
Okay.
Are there any
So,
life signs over there?
well, we can try. Ah. So they scan. There are life signs, but there is not an approximation of how many life signs.
Okay.
There's just life signs on the station. So the two of you go to the transporter room and you beam into a location. Now, when you beep in, it's relatively dim, and you are located into almost like a warehouse facility, and you can see over on the far end. There's a more lidded up area in this far end of this warehouse, but where you are, it's all dim. It's all Klingon looking architecture, and there are various sizes of long crates, short crates, and round barrel like crates that all have Klingon writing on it and Klingon stamps of their logos on it. For you two, the smell from Gowrie ship is less. It still smells, but it doesn't seem like as many Klingons frequent this area as on the ship.
Okay.
Okay, you are on the ground, boots on the ground. What would you like to do?
Is there crates like right near us with no people around it?
Yeah, there are no people standing around you, and you are relatively surrounded by a variety of crates. It's basically the way to look at it. There's a wall behind you, and that goes all the way down. It's about the size of like an auditorium, and it goes, and then it extends, and then in the far right hand corner, far down into the warehouse, you can see a bright, like it's lit up way more than these other areas. But you're just like there is like a shifting of like a path, a winding path between all of these different sized crates.
And there's
Okay.
three of us here.
There are three of you down on the outpost.
It seems like we need to go towards the light, right?
Well, first I would ask if he can read the Klingon to tell us what's in these crates right here.
Mm.
So Dagor walks over and he looks at one of them and he says, "These are bladed weapons." And then he walks over to another one and he says, "This is torpedoes." And then he looks at the more like round one and he goes, "Ah, this is Bloodwine."
Oh.
It would appear, Commander, that these are weapons and Bloodwine.
Any rifles?
Hmm. And you see him walking around and he comes into a box and he says, "Yes, right here." And he says, "Ah, look. See this symbol, Captain and Commander? This symbol on the box is of Gom'rok."
Oh.
Hmm. How
Clever.
secure are the crates? Like, how difficult are they to open?
This one here that says rifles apparently has already been opened recently. We can open this one easily. So he flips it. It doesn't make a lot of noise, and he folds it open. And in it, down in the one corner, there's a couple like Klingon disruptor pistols. But then in like the main case is like a long type of like Klingon rifle. Like it's a long weapon.
Hmm.
You would assume maybe a sniper or long range rifle.
I'd walk over, see if I can pick it up nicely, and see how it feels.
So you pick it up. It's a little hefty. It's not light, and you can see by its design that it also is a disruptor of some sort, and that this thing, if it was fired at somebody, would pack a pretty good punch. And the Gore says to you, "Ah, yes, that is a disruptor rifle."
Might come in handy.
Huh. You want the rifle, Commander?
I would if you don't.
I have many on my vessel. I don't need that one. Okay, so you take the rifle. Now, what would you guys like to do?
Well, the captain mentioned that she wanted to venture toward the lit area
Perfect.
because that'd be most likely where people are.
Makes sense.
Did you guys want to scan or anything, or just walk towards the light?
Hmm. Let's do that. Scan for
Okay.
body signals.
Well, my first thing would be I would listen to
Okay.
hear because a
Mm.
lot of times when people are alone and relaxed, they tend to be the most boisterous.
I like
Mm.
it. So let's have you both roll separately. Let's have you, Captain, roll science control difficulty 1. And let's have you, Mike, do security insight difficulty 0.
I got one.
You get one momentum back from your roll,
Ooh.
Mike.
I got two.
And you get one momentum back from the hand scanner. So, well, this is happening simultaneously, so we're not going to do one or the other. As you're scanning, Captain, you locate that there is about 5 Klingon life signs in the far right corner of this warehouse.
Okay.
And you are, as you're listening, can hear not incredibly loud, but like just ever so slightly loud enough conversation, like Klingon conversation. That doesn't sound like they're alerted. They just sound like they're just conversating.
Okay.
The Gore turns to you and he says, "You hear that too, Commander? It sounds like they're just talking about dinner."
Yes, I do. The question
Probably
is
have a
how should we
simple.
proceed with this? Do you feel that they will attack us if we reveal ourselves?
By seeing the crest of Gom'rok here on these containers, I would say that these men are loyal to Gom'rok and they will attack us on sight.
If that's the case, then I think we should use quick to action.
Okay. So you guys are going to take it to him. Let's go.
Yep.
Do it.
Okay. So you guys weave slowly in between these crates and these boxes and these barrels. And you get to a point where you can clearly see there are 5 Klingon who look very similar to Kavor. They are in ornate uniforms. They are darker in appearance, no hair on them whatsoever. They are not laughing, and you can see that they're very serious, and they're just sitting around and they're like eating. And that's all they're doing.
It's gonna be the last meal they ever eat.
Yep.
Hope it was a
Okay.
good one.
So you can open fire if you want with, I believe, control security.
I don't really have any focuses that would help me in this situation.
Well, are you using your phase pistol or are you using that Klingon disruptor?
I was going to use the Klingon disruptor.
Fair enough. If you do an aim minor action, you can reroll up to 2d20s. You can increase the severity of the damage by spending 1 momentum.
Hmm.
And you're going to do 5 damage. And it is considered a deadly weapon. So just so you
Yes.
know. Okay. Just let you
I
know.
know. I knew. So I'm going to spend 1 momentum, and I'm going to roll. I have 2 successes.
Difficulty 2. 2 successes, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you shoot one of the Klingons, he immediately goes down. Immediately. Okay, now it's to the captain. You go ahead,
Mhm.
Captain. What are you going to do?
Wanna shoot to kill.
Okay.
Whoever is whoever I
So
can
you're
read.
so you're dialing up the laser weapon to fire deadly.
Yeah.
Okay. So roll control security.
Okay. 2 successes.
Okay, so you fire and you hit a Klingon, but he doesn't go down, he just recoils. Okay, so Dagor fires and he misses. So now it's back to you, Arhap.
I'm going to take aim again, and
So okay, so you have 4 left, 1 is injured. Which one are you shooting at before we do that?
another one that's not injured.
Okay, fair enough.
Because most likely the one that who got injured would have like fallen, and I would aim at another one that's standing.
Okay, fair enough. So same thing. Control, security, difficulty 2.
I got 2 successes.
Okay, so you take fire again, and another one goes down. So you, Captain, what would you like to do now? You have
So
2.
what's left?
So you have 2 totally fine Klingons and 1 injured Klingon.
Let me go for the injured.
Okay. So again, control security.
Oh, have 1 success but 120.
So you fire and you miss him, but you shoot at a munitions thing behind them, and you get the feeling that something might explode if it's not dealt with soon.
Okay.
And you're in a facility full of torpedoes and weapons.
Oh my God. Wow, that's quite the complication. Thank you.
Okay, now Dagor is going to fire, and he misses again.
Didn't I say I don't like this guy?
So what happens is that happens, and one of the Klingons goes over to deal with the thing, and one of the Klingons turns to go to shoot you, but that's like his major action because he's surprised, and the other one props himself up against something to get ready to fire next turn. They don't
Okay.
fire at you at all. Now it's back to you guys.
I'm gonna aim for the one that's still good and not walking away.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
I got two successes.
Okay, so you shoot at the one that is standing and facing you, and it was as soon to shoot back, you hit him, he goes immediately down. Go ahead, Captain. You have the one who moved away from everything and the one who's injured but facing you.
Well, I want that guy to fix the problem. So
Okay.
I'll go to the one that's facing me.
Okay. Go ahead. Control security.
Okay, two successes.
Okay, yeah. So you shoot at this Klingon that's kind of like propped himself up. You hit him. He immediately goes down. And now Dagor
Do something useful,
is going
Dagor.
to shoot at the one that's left who's running towards the munition boxes.
Give him a minute, let him fix that, and then shoot and kill him.
Okay. So while you see him over there, you see him deal with the weapon and he deactivates it.
Okay.
And the gore doesn't do anything. So it goes back to you, Mike.
I would yell, surrender and we'll let you live.
Okay.
See what his reaction is to that.
I like
So
it.
roll security presence.
Okay.
Oof.
Two. Hang
He
on.
Yep.
Let me see if I have a focus that I can use. Well, that would kind of fall under negotiations, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean you're trying to like get him to work with you.
I have persuasion and negotiation.
Yeah, you're trying to definitely persuade him, so yeah.
Yep. So I have three.
Perfect. He has two successes, so you get one momentum back for that. And so he doesn't raise a weapon, he just turns back around towards the munition box.
Shoot him.
So that was your turn, Mike. You negotiated with him, and that's what he did. We'll go to the captain now.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot him.
Okay, okay. So
Two
that's
successes.
control security.
Two success.
Yes.
So you shoot him in the back. He slumps towards the munition box, but he does not go down.
Okay,
And now Dagor says, "I'm going to shoot him."
please do.
What? You didn't surrender.
Dagor gets two successes and kills the Klingon. Okay, there are a whole bunch of dead Klingons in this room now. What would you guys like to do?
I'd
Keep
like to
on.
walk over and see what he deactivated to make sure he deactivated it.
That's a good
Okay,
point.
so you go over there, and what you see is it's like a Klingon, like a grenade type thing that has like a computer setting to it that you can like program like timers on it was activated, and he went over and just like turned it off. But now when you go over there, his hand is on it, like that's what he was trying to reactivate.
Mm,
Yeah.
obviously. Don't blame him.
And I would carefully grab his arm and move it away from it just so he can't accidentally
Sure.
activate it.
Okay. What else?
So let's take in our surroundings. What are we looking at? Like any.
So there's like a makeshift table here, and there's makeshift seats, and then
Okay.
around them, and then on one side of the wall, so you're like in a corner, and so up against this wall are like munition barrels, like stacks of crates
Okay.
that have Klingon writing and symbols on them, the same symbols that you saw on the other things. You have a makeshift table, makeshift seats. You have a you have cages. You have like bloodied cages to the left of this seating area, and then
Okay.
against the far wall, the back wall, there's like a console that has like a monitor and a couple like panels of inputs on it. And
Okay.
there is some like haphazard. It kind of seems like they're like bedding, but it kind of just seems like they just lay on the ground. But it kind of seems like there's an area kind of dedicated for like where they would like
Chamber.
rest and go to the bathroom and stuff. And that's
Okay.
like farther down on the wall, past the
Okay.
bloodied cages.
Okay.
I would not be the right person to go through a computer. If one of you two wants to take a look at it,
Understood. Captain,
What would I be?
you would probably either do engineering control or science insight.
I mean, my engineering's a 1, so
Sure.
my science is a 4.
a lot
So
better than me.
if I did control engineering, I would have a 12. If I did science insight, I would have a 13.
The
So I
Gore
guess
has an 8 in science insight and he has a 10 in control engineering.
it's me with my 13.
Okay, so that's I'll let the Gore assist you by reading the Klingon thing. That'll be difficulty 2.
Okay. I got 1 success.
Let's roll a 10. And he got 1 success.
Thank God.
So Dagor points at what to bring up, like what the symbols mean, and you start to poke, and what comes up on the screen is that this is a facility that Gom'rok uses as a rest stop, and his operatives use as a rest stop, and that
Hmm.
within it are logs. You can see that there are like logs of ships coming and the routes that Gomrok's fleet are using.
Sweet. Can we download all that stuff to like our pad or
Yep,
anything?
you could totally can. Yep,
Let's
absolutely.
do it. Is there a way that we can do that without them knowing that like it's been like if we do that, will they somehow be able to detect?
So roll engineering insight for an answer on your question there, Captain. Difficulty 1.
Engineering. I have a 2 successes actually. That's a 9 and a
So you
10.
get a momentum from that. What you learned, Captain, is that the only way somebody would know that you access this is to come to this exact terminal and interact with it.
Okay. So
And
it's
be specifically
possible, but
looking for it.
Right.
okay. Not impossible, but not likely.
Okay, so what do you want to do, Mike? While she downloads that information to the pad, what would you like to do?
I'd do a scan and see if there's anyone else in around just to make sure.
Okay.
And do a scan for anything incredibly dangerous that we would have to watch out for.
Okay, so that would be science control difficulty 2 because you're scanning for 2 separate things.
Yes. I got 1 success.
So you don't see any more life signs on the hand scanner,
Right.
but it's inconclusive when it comes. Is there something, other than there being weapons? There's nothing really that screams at you like you're all gonna die here in a minute, kind of a thing.
Right. I would take in a little bit of inventory in the area just to get a general idea of what we're looking at.
Okay, I mean you can use the terminal to generally see what is there.
Yeah, I'd walk over and whether they want to do it or if they ask me to do it, I'd ask, is there a inventory in the terminal?
10. So Dagor goes over to the terminal and he pokes things in and he sees that there's like an inventory, but he doesn't know how to access it. It seems like it's blocked by either like a password or something. He can't fully access the inventory other than seeing that there are currently items in this warehouse.
Right. So I would ask, how should we proceed from here? And are we taking anything with us?
Dagor says that he feels that most of this he would like to take some blood wine to both of the vessels. That's always a good thing, but
Mhm.
they're not really. Neither ship is low on torpedoes, and they certainly don't need weapons. So he says after beaming up a couple of things of blood wine that just like probably destroy the facility.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So he contacts Gowrie. He tells them what they found. He tells them about the blood wine. They agree. Him both Dagor and Gowrie agree on an amount that they want, and both ships beam up the blood wine. You three are beamed back to the ship, and then the Octal and the Qel'Thoq fire at the outpost.
Yeah, but before it's destroyed, was there any of that high-end blood wine stuff there?
Oh, the Shahat Taluth?
Yeah.
No, no,
Okay.
no. It's merely just bloodline. Which is a great point that you bring it up. That since you don't see it, you almost think that perhaps these types of Klingons don't find that type of beverage to be acceptable. Perhaps you find that that's kind of strange because
Hmm.
even on Gowry's ship, there are barrels of that type of beverage.
Yeah.
So you return to the Qel'Thoq, and the data presents two different things. One presents that the fleet is moving off towards a planet towards the Romulan Neutral Zone, and the other one is towards like a Klingon outpost that the Empire controls. And it's hard to know which is which way Gom'rok is going because the planet that the path is on is not a Federation run planet. It's just a planet. So Gowrie doesn't know which way to go. He doesn't.
Hmm.
It's a 50-50 shot.
I see. How far away are both places?
One is a couple hours away, and the other one is almost a day away.
Of course. Are we able to pick up any like trace signatures on a scan?
You can
Like,
certainly try. You can certainly try to do that.
okay.
Okay, so you're able to scan, and you can see that there is a more heavier concentration towards the listening posts,
Okay. I guess that would be my vote then.
or excuse me, towards the outpost run by the Klingon Empire. Excuse me.
Okay.
Is that the one that's a day away?
That's the one that's a few hours away.
A few hours away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking we should head, just a couple hours just check it out, as opposed to if we go a day
Right.
and a day back, that's 2 days as opposed to,
All right.
a couple hours there, a couple hours back.
Okay. The Qel'Thoq and the Octal set a course a couple hours to this outpost, and on their way there, the Qel'Thoq is hailed, and Gowrie answers, and on the screen are two Klingons who reveal that they are sympathetic to Gowrie
Oh,
and that they have word that Gomrok's fleet has passed by here a few days ago and that they
okay.
want to assist Gowrie in any way possible.
So obviously I feel like I want to trust them, but how do we trust them?
You can roll security insight difficulty 2.
That's probably
If Mike
secure.
rolls it, it'll be difficulty 1.
Yeah, my security insight is a 10, 13. But if Mike can do it in one, I'd say do it.
You want me to try?
Yeah,
I got one success.
nice.
Okay. So you kind of over the nudging of the captain to kind of like use your security Andorian, ways of gauging people, and you kind of once do a once over of these two Klingons on screen, and you feel like they're genuine. First, right off the bat, they look like a normal Kling. They look like normal Klingons, and two, their tone and their demeanor when interacting with Gowry seems genuine. They seem like they are invested and are truly loyal to House Dokai, which is Gowry's house.
Right.
So they reveal to Gowry and the Qel'Thoq that they are a part of a secret listening post that has been trafficking this area for the
Chancellor.
I see.
Chancellor is curious about the ongoings of things out here closer to the Romulan Neutral Zone, but he doesn't want other Klingons to know what's going on. And the only reason they hailed the Qel'Thoq is because it's Gowry, and these men trust Gowry.
Okay.
They want to hand over logs that they have to Gowry's vessel. So Gowry takes them and he begins to download. So it's an extended task to decrypt these logs, these files that they have. They can't do it on the facility because it is watched by the Chancellor and the Council. So they have to just send these logs along, but they can certainly duplicate them and send them to Gowry, but they can't, open them up because then that would reveal to the Empire that they are bad, basically.
Gotcha.
Right.
So Gowry can have one of his officers help you, but it's going to be
Okay.
down to you two guys to figure it out.
Okay.
What would I have to roll?
So whoever's doing the main thing would be engineering control, difficulty 2,
Okay.
and then anyone who assists can either assist in science insight or engineering presence.
So my control engineering would be a 12.
My control engineering would be a 13.
Okay.
I also have a focus that I might be able to use, which is computer security protocol.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, you can absolutely use that. Yep. Do either of you maybe of value or no?
I was thinking about using prioritize and execute.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad.
It's the only one I would be able to use.
Okay, yeah. It's broad enough that I like it. What about you, Captain?
Mm, not really, no.
Okay, so which one are you going to use, science or engineering to assist him?
Science insight would be a 10, a 13. Engineering and presence would be 11.
So it sounds like the science one.
Yeah.
So the Klingon engineering officer is going to help you.
I succeed.
I got a 1 and a 12.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so that's 3 successes from you.
Yes.
You succeeded, Captain.
I did.
And the Klingon did. That's 5, so that's 3 momentum. What is your engineering, Mike?
2.
Okay, roll again.
Wow.
Everybody roll again, like the same.
Another success for me.
Also
I
the same.
got 1 success.
So that's 3 successes, so that's 1 momentum. Now,
We are maxed out on momentum.
okay, so 2. So you have one more spot left on the track. You can spend 2 momentum and complete the track.
Do you
Meaning
want to
you can
just?
use that floating one and one that you have banked.
Yeah, we'll go down to 5 and we'll be done.
So as you're looking over the files, one of the logs reveal that Gom'rok's vessel and the planet killer weapons are already in motion, and they are heading towards sector space, relatively close to the Romulan Neutral Zone in the Azure sector. Now roll me a d6 there, Captain.
I got a flat side with nothing on it.
Nothing on it. You hear that word, but nothing really comes comes
Okay.
to mind. You can't really think of like a Federation thing right off the top of your head. So Gowry says, well, immediately let's set course to the Azure sector and we can find where Gom'rok is. But
Okay.
the Azure sector is 12 days away at warp 7.
Good God.
Dagor says, well, let me take lead. He wants to take lead on any assault on Gomrok's vessel. And Gowry kind of pushes back that like he wants to lead the charge because like he's the one putting this whole thing together.
Yeah, this is like not, yeah.
I'm going to roll for Gowry. Okay, 2 successes. Okay. So Gowry wins that discussion, and Gowry takes the lead.
Okay.
Let's have you, Captain, roll one more d6.
Another flat side.
Well, you can either do science, reason, difficulty 5 to try to like use Klingon maps and your Federation knowledge, or do science control difficulty 3 to do a broad scan to like generate maybe some ideas.
Okay. I'm gonna choose that one because that's a 15.
Okay.
So I'll have to buy a dice.
Okay.
You want to buy dice? Okay.
I can have the science officer assist you.
Well, I'm gonna need a little more help than that because I
He
got a
didn't. He,
20.
you got a 20.
Yeah, I have 2 successes and then a 20.
So you scan, and it seems like the only way to learn is to do this difficulty 5 thing. I can have the science officer assist you. You'd have to spin it good for you, Mike Arhat, to help. If you have a value, Captain, this is the time to use it.
I kind of can swing this to you. You get what you work for, not what you wish for. Because if we want peace, we have to work for peace.
I can give that you get what you work for, not what you wish for. I can give that to you because you're putting in physical work to find the right answer and not just like wishing for it to pop up on the
Yeah,
screen. So I can
right.
give you that. So what about you, Arhat? What would you like? How would you like to help the captain?
I would walk over and ask the captain if there's anything that I can do to help her.
I'll let you be like the reassuring friend, and I'll let you roll command presence, 1 dice, and then the science officer will roll, and you'll roll captain. So you have 2 immediate successes. You need 3 more successes,
Okay.
and you have yourself and 2 people assisting you. So what would you like to do?
Well, I need to buy a dice to roll a third.
Okay.
I have 2 successes.
Okay.
I barely got 1.
That is enough. The Klingon science officer does not help. So what comes up onto the screen? One of the things that comes up is the word Wazn. Wazn. Let's have you roll another 6-sided dice, Captain.
We got two explosions.
So Wazin seems really familiar, but you can't place exactly what it is.
Okay.
But it seems like it's headed to that location.
Okay.
So Arhat can see it. So
Right.
Gowry comes over and he looks at it and he says, "Ah, reminiscing, Captain?"
What does that mean?
Oh, by what you're looking at here.
I'll say I don't even know what I'm looking at here, actually. What do you think we're looking at?
What do you mean you don't know what you're looking at?
This is the planet that Arhat and I determined, but I don't recognize it.
You're not saying that Gom'rok is going here.
It seems like it.
And you see Gowry, you see him start to like his face gets really dark and red, and his eyes like sink into his sockets. All
Is it
right,
my
not
home
like
world?
not crazy. He's not like an alien. He's just like you can see the intensity.
So it's my home world
And
then.
he's gritting. He grits his teeth and he says, "Captain, do you not know where this is?"
I don't recognize the name.
He says, "Come to my ready room."
Okay.
And he goes in and goes into the thing and he pulls out this like older looking pad that's like weathered, and it doesn't seem to be the same technology as the rest of the room. And he shows it to you and he goes, "This is your father's pad." He says, "Read the first line."
Okay, I take it.
And you can see in Klingon, but it's clearly written the same way as on the board. It says WAZN, that they've
Cool.
crash landed on that planet.
Cool. Cool. Sweet.
And so Gowry says, "Captain, Gom'rok is bringing the fight to your home."
Let's kill that patah.
And and Gowry slams down his fist on his thing and he says, "Yes." And we cut.
Excellent.
And that is the end of the Bloodwine Trail.
Wow. We did it, folks.
So next time we come back, we will be over on following the Drake with Mike here hosting as game master with his mission Trouble with Tam. So he'll kick off that next game night. That'll be our next mission. But the next mission for Captain Knightley and Commander Arhat is episode 6, and that episode is entitled Embers of the Hearth. And that's where we will find you all next time.
Embers of the heart.
Very good. Good stuff.